I'm a sucker for peanut butter and chocolate. Reese's cups, anyone? For an American, Reese's is a favorite among candy bars and Halloween treats. A while back, one of my family members mentioned that they really wanted a strong peanut butter cookie with milk chocolate chips that tastes like a Reese's cup, which tends to be heavier on the peanut butter than chocolate side. But most of the peanut butter cookie recipes I found are not very strong in the peanut butter realm. Thus, the request of my family. So, without delay, let's check out my peanut butter focused peanut butter chocolate chip cookies a la mode Reese's peanut butter cups. For the ingredients, you'll need all-purpose flour, salt if using unsalted butter, baking soda, baking powder, butter, peanut butter, granulated sugar, brown sugar, egg, vanilla extract, and milk chocolate chips. So let's begin by preheating the oven to 375 degrees. Line 2 baking sheets with parchment paper and set them aside. In a medium bowl, we're going to add 120 grams, which is 1 cup of all-purpose flour. If you're using unsalted butter today or unsalted peanut butter, then you'll want to add 1.5 grams, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'm using salted butter today, so I'm not going to add any additional salt to my cookies. Then we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon each, which is 2 grams each, of baking soda and baking powder. And then just stir this together so that all the ingredients are dispersed. And then set this aside. In a large bowl, we're going to add 113 grams, which is 1/2 cup of softened butter. And you want it softened so that it's easy to blend. You can use salted or unsalted. Just make sure you add salt to your dry ingredients if you're using unsalted. And then we're just going to blend it very quickly until it's smooth. Then we're going to add 195 grams, which is 3/4 cup of peanut butter. You can use smooth or crunchy, but we prefer smooth. Go ahead and blend again until combined. Most peanut butter chocolate chip cookie recipes use a 50-50 split of peanut butter and butter, but you'll notice here I added more peanut butter than butter because for us, that's not enough for this to be called a truly peanut butter cookie. So the standard peanut butter cookie is just peanut butter, by the way, but we prefer the combination of both butter and peanut butter because it keeps the cookie soft and moist. Stop periodically and scrape down your bowl edges. We're going to add 100 grams, which is 1/2 cup of granulated sugar, and 120 grams, which is 1/2 cup packed brown sugar. And we're going to blend again until combined. So I like the combination of both granulated and brown sugar. The granulated sugar adds to the caramelization of the brown sugar, and the brown sugar keeps that deep molasses flavor along with the grainy sort of texture of a traditional Reese's peanut butter cup. So we want that peanut butter texture. We're also going to add in 1 egg, and I always separate my egg into a separate bowl just to ensure that I don't have any shells or that I get a bad egg. And 1 teaspoon of vanilla. We're going to blend one more time with our electric mixer until smooth. So we're done with the electric mixer. We're going to add the last ingredients here. We're going to add the all-purpose flour mixture, and then using a spoon or spatula, just stir it in. Finally, we're going to fold in 120 grams, which is about a heaping 2/3 cup of milk chocolate chips. If you really wanted to go peanut butter crazy here, you could split the chips and add 60 grams each, which is 1/3 cup. So you're basically having this chip recipe here. Use peanut butter chips for half, and then use chocolate chips for the other half. And then you're just going to kind of stir in those chips. Now we're going to drop by heaping spoonfuls on our baking sheet. You want to place these about 2 inches apart. They are not going to spread much because of the peanut butter. You have a couple of options for presenting your cookies. You can leave them in mounds as we have them here. They will bake in mounds without much spread, but they have a nice chewy peanut butter center. So I actually really like them in mounds. If you don't want them to be this tall, you could also just press them down. You could use your fingers, you could use the palm of your hand, you can use a glass. You could press them down just a little bit so that you get more of a flatter looking cookie. Or you can go even flatter and press them all the way down until the chocolate chips touch the pan. And you can fill those with your fingers because the dough doesn't press down any more than that. And if you really just want them to be pretty mounds, you can restructure the mound to where they're more of a ball shape. Like that. You'll be able to see what they look like when I take them out of the oven, but they're pretty moldable in the sense that the peanut butter keeps the shape as is and they don't change shape much. And if you don't care, just leave them as you put them on the pan. We're gonna bake this first batch of cookies for 9 minutes. You don't want to overbake them or they'll be dry and crumbly. It's better to underbake peanut butter cookies than to overbake them. So if you're hesitant, take them out a minute early. Ideally, the cookies will be a bit crispy on the exterior and nice and chewy soft in the center. And in the meantime, we're going to continue adding cookie batter to the other cookie sheet. I like to bake my cookies one pan at a time just to make sure they get evenly brown, but you do what you want based on your oven and what you're comfortable doing. First batch of cookies out of the oven. I'm going to place my second batch in the oven. This recipe makes between 22 and 24 cookies, and you can see the difference between the mounds versus the ones that I've flattened out. And I did a variety over here. I left them in balls, I flattened them slightly, and I flattened them out even more. We're gonna let these cookies cool for 2 minutes before we place them on a cooling rack. After a couple of minutes, go ahead and transfer them to a cooling rack. These are still warm and they're still pretty soft. So I like to, again, go less on the time. I think I baked these for about 9.5 minutes, but you can try a small batch and see what time you prefer. If you like your food very well done, particularly your cookies, then you can extend that baking time by another minute or 2. Check these out. They firmed up enough where you can see and lift them up, but they're still soft. They're not crunchy or hard. So notice the difference in the 3 different sizes. And what I mean by sizes, they have the same amount of cookie dough in them for the most part. I left this one in a mound, and you can see it's still spread nicely. It's just got a nice kind of a chunky center to it. Then the second one here, I flattened slightly, but not until where the chocolate chip met the pan bottom. So this is just a little bit flatter. But notice that it looks like a really pretty much a standard sized cookie. This one's where I flattened entirely as much as I could based on where the chip touched the pan. And it does look like a much bigger cookie, but it is not. It has the same amount of dough as pretty much the other 2. But that's what it looks like. I'm gonna focus really on these 2 because these are the ones that differ more than the others. The chips are noticeable in both. We're gonna break them in half. So this is the mounded one. Notice how chewy that is on the center. It's very soft. It's got a thicker cookie center, so it's going to be a little bit more peanut butter pronounced just because you have more there, right? Okay, let's look at the flatter one. It's still really soft in the center, and it is just a thinner cookie. So that's the difference when you actually break into both of them. I tend to prefer the mounded ones because I really want a nice peanut butter flavor, and I like a big bite, you know, for a cookie in the center instead of a simple flat one, but that's personal preference. I think the thicker one has more of a Reese's cup feel to it because you're going to have a thicker center like a Reese's cup. It's definitely going to be peanut butter focused, even more so than a flat one because you've got a lot more cookie here than you would with a flat one. And then you've got the subtle sort of chocolate that you have on the exterior of a peanut butter cup. They smell so peanut buttery. Notice how soft they came apart. The peanut butter is pronounced, which was the goal of this recipe. Since it has typical cookie ingredients like flour, leavening agents, and egg, the texture feels like a standard cookie. The Grady brown sugar mimics the Grady texture of a Reese's peanut butter cup. The chocolate chips are meant to be rather minor, and they certainly balance out the peanut butter. I usually only buy semi-sweet chocolate chips for my chocolate in recipes. However, for this recipe, I chose milk chocolate chips because semi-sweet can be a little bit overpowering. So I dialed back on the chocolate and honed it on the traditional Reese's cup style chocolate, which is the milk version. Also, since Reese's cups are more peanut butter than chocolate, that is what we have here. If you're looking for a peanut butter focused peanut butter chocolate chip cookie, you should consider giving this recipe a try. We have enjoyed the many test bakes to get the right balance between peanut butter and chocolate. We hope you think so too. Thanks for watching, liking, and subscribing. Until next time, bake a batch of peanut butter chocolate chip cookies, maybe throw in some crumbled Reese's cups, yum, and go bake the world.